Okay, so how many of the unqualified are left? Because I swear this group is bigger. All right, let's see here. Pam Bondi's gone. Kristi Noem is gone. Funny, there's a lot of women that's getting fired.
Half of those fired or removed have been female or Black, and that for the first time in more than a decade, no active duty female naval officers are likely to be promoted to admiral.
Kash Patel is still there. I don't know how this nigga made it to the final round. And Pete Hegseth. You know what? I haven't talked about Pete Hegseth yet. Yo, Petey, come to the front of the class. Because I've been waiting for this dragon. Because you, my slickback scallywag, I was going to leave you alone until your goofy ass came back to Congress asking for more money. So apparently the Trump administration wants more money. For what? You already got $4.1 trillion from Trump's great big beautiful scam. What? Did you find some extra money just laying around that you can get your grubby little hands on? Oh, I'm sorry. We found $1 trillion just laying around with us. Thank you.
Even too small for a mouse.
But in order to continue a war that Trump should have never started, it costs money. A lot of money. $70 billion worth. I'm starting to think that you don't even know how much this stuff really costs. I think you're just making up numbers at this point.
The president's request is not even primarily a request to cover the costs of the Iran war. This request is chock full of asks to fund unrelated DoD priorities, which should be considered through our annual appropriations process, not in an emergency supplemental. And that includes almost $1 billion for Southcom, nearly $1 billion to keep deploying the National Guard here in D.C., and more than $1 billion for the southern border.
You people have no idea how lucky you are. When I'm gone, you're all going to be broke. Your business model is going to be finished. No, it's true. When I'm not around, you're going to be broke.
Sounds like a whole lot of nothing to me. So while millions of Americans have to make tough choices on what they can spend their money on, Trump gets to use our money to spend it on whatever he wants, important or not. I'm learning so much today. Americans have to fight for so little. Just think about it. This is America. People come here to make a living. Isn't America the most profitable country in the world? But they say we ain't got enough money. But we got enough money for them. You're cutting all these benefits for American people, but we got enough money for you.
They say we can't afford health care for everybody, but we pay for theirs, and theirs is top tier. Mike Flood, the representative from Nebraska, he told Nebraskans in a town hall that America just can't afford free health care. He says it ain't no money for it. Question, then how do we pay his salary? How do we cover his health care? You know, that Cadillac, top shelf, never having to wait in line health care that members of Congress get? How do we fund his pension and his perks? Because y'all know he gets government covered everything. So how do we cover that? I'm going to break this down. America has the money. America has the money for health care, for schools, for job training, for affordable housing, safe neighborhoods, clean water. They have the money. What America doesn't have is the will to tax rich people.
Let me give you an example. Remember when a hurricane hit Costa Rica and the Trump administration refused to give them aid? What did they do instead? Forgot about that, huh? I know. You're probably thinking to yourself, well, Costa Rica's not part of America. This is America first. Well, don't you remember last year when Trump gave money to Argentina? Forgot about that.
While the U.S. government is shut down right now, it's one thing to have the president leaving the country and flying to other countries, as Trump did today. It's another thing to have the U.S. government funding another country's government while we are not funding ours. Nevertheless, Trump's Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, just sent $20 billion, just sent 20 billion U.S. taxpayer dollars to go fund the government of Argentina. That
made that Argentina loss so much sweeter. Because, I know some Argentinians were cool, but a lot of y'all came over here acting mad disrespectful, especially in black-centric cities. I know what happened in Atlanta.
Secondly, President Trump is making this request as the Pentagon has a record-breaking $1 trillion total budget for FY26, including over $75 billion it has in unspent money from Republicans' big ugly bill.
So pretty much we have reached a just trust me bro stage. I mean, looks dangerous. Just trust me bro. This looks like a financial loss to me. Just trust me bro. I mean, I do not think that Trump understands the word no yet. I mean, ask E. Jean Carroll.
A federal judge in New York ordered that Donald Trump has to pay E. Jean Carroll the $5 million plus interest that he owes her from a 2023 verdict that found him liable for sexually abusing and defaming her. The order came hours after Donald Trump's lawyers made a desperate last-ditch effort to avoid making the payment to E. Jean Carroll, arguing that the money can't be released to E. Jean Carroll until the Supreme Court rejects Trump's long-shot bid to have them reconsider his petition to appeal the verdict.
The president is now asking for all of us to approve tens of billions of dollars in new funding for the war, while his administration still has yet to share actual cost estimates, essential information to justify this request, and a plan for where on earth this conflict goes next. This administration is either hiding the truth from Congress and the American people, or if you take at face value what they've said, and in the few briefings that we've had, they have no idea what is going on and no plan to right the ship, neither of which is acceptable.
You're asking the wrong person. Don't ask him. He's just a foot soldier. He's just following orders. Ask Israel.
Did you tell lawmakers that there was an imminent
There absolutely was an imminent threat, and the imminent threat was that we knew that if Iran was attacked, and we believed they would be attacked, that they would immediately come after us. And we were not going to sit there and absorb a blow before we responded. If we waited for them to hit us first after they were attacked, and by someone else, Israel attacked them, they hit us first, and we waited for them to hit us, we would suffer more casualties and more deaths. We went proactively in a defensive way to prevent them from inflicting higher.
Your boy Trump even admitted it. We give Israel a lot of money annually, which makes no sense because they are a first world country like us.
You know, we give Israel $4 billion a year. That's a lot. Congratulations, by the way. That's pretty good. But we give Israel billions of dollars a year.
What do we get out of it? Nothing. We get nothing. Are we doing humanitarian work? No, they're charged with genocide. They're killing off Palestinians. Are we helping them survive? Well, they've got a higher standard of living than we do, a longer lifespan than we do, free education, free housing, free health care, but we're sending them money.
You know, I'm going to let Charlie Kirk tell you. Yeah, that Charlie Kirk.
Israel should have to stand on its own and fight its own wars. The amount of money we're spending, I think, could be questionable, but a lot of that money comes back in U.S. defense contracts.
But yet, Trump just wants you to trust him. That's what the J means in Donald J. Trump. Just trust me. Donald, just trust me, Trump. So in comes Pete Hegseth for his opening statement. Yeah, that's right. Let's hear from the puppet, because we know y'all ain't got a mind of your own.
The supplemental funding request is not a substitute.
If only they stop interrupting you, my man. And it's funny because it didn't just happen one time.
$1.5 trillion.
Nope.
Long-term strategic dominance cannot be funded through one-off supplementals.
No.
Budget proposals submitted under President Trump follow a simple logic.
This happened 4 times. After a while, I'm thinking, how many of y'all left? Y'all trying to break a world record for interrupting a douchebag?
We know the best way to create peace is to prepare for war, to deter it. And that's exactly what the Department of War is doing, building a force so capable that it would be absurd for anyone to challenge it. As the direct result of neglected priorities and gross negligence that ignored threats left over from the previous administration, President Trump inherited a set of global and domestic crises, deferred maintenance almost across the board.
The problem is that Trump started these crises. It's like having a toxic partner in a relationship and they're always starting drama. Trump loves drama. Is Trump trying to go, as they call, mega viral?
Instead of steering the ship through gathering storms, former leaders let our military languish through social experiments, and globalist appeasement. Sheer weakness. Under President Trump, we have built a different type of department. The Pentagon is no longer run by bureaucrats. Instead, it's led by combat-tested veterans and world-class business leaders who are running the department like a business, and tech titans who are bringing lethal innovation to the battlefield.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. You cannot run the United States like a business. And y'all didn't even choose good businessmen. Y'all chose well-known businessmen. And if they such good businessmen, where's the money at? Have you seen any of that money? Have I seen any of that money? Have y'all seen any of that money? And those businessmen, I guarantee that a quarter of them are on that Epstein list. Remember that? And I believe that's something that non-whites and women call equality. I know, it's a foreign word. You're gonna get used to it.
We're also at a different moment, and we cannot afford inaction. If we don't make critical investments right now in tech, in compute, in AI, in autonomy, in space, our adversaries who are already making these types of investments could outpace us.
Sounds like somebody needs to learn how to budget their money better. And that sounds like a great idea. How about we get up out this war and go take care of that? The problem is that you still have money left over from the great, beautiful scam. Maybe somebody needs to ease up on the lobster tails, huh? What do you say, Pete?
Could you spend $93 billion if you had to? Well, Pete Hegseth did, and here are the receipts. Let's just run through the food. 15 million ribeye steak, 8 million lobster tail, 2 million Alaskan king crab, $1 million for salmon, $140,000 for donuts, $124,000 for ice cream machines. Yum yum. $3.5 billion for cable TV because this guy is a former Fox News anchor and he has to look good on TV.
Secretary Hegseth, your department received $150 billion last year in the Republicans' Big Beautiful Bill. It also received a record $839 billion for fiscal year 2026, more money than you asked for last year. Combined, that is a $1 trillion budget for the year, and as I already mentioned, your department has yet to spend half of the reconciliation funds. And despite that, you are here today asking for tens of billions of dollars more for things that you've already asked for in your FY27 request or that have nothing to do with Iran.
I love to hear it. Let's do it. You're asking for more, but you haven't even finished what's left on your plate, champ. At least spend the money you got first before you ask for more. I mean, isn't that usually how it goes? Am I too old school?
Senator, I wouldn't, of course, agree with your characterization, but why this kind of spending is needed is because of the gross negligence and neglect of the Biden administration inside our department. Ran it like a bureaucracy, abandoned our strength posture around the world, so we're having to reestablish deterrence. You mentioned the end strength numbers, and I will acknowledge that we are ahead of schedule on end strength in recruiting. 8,000 in the Navy, 6,000 in the Army, 4,000 in the Air Force. Because under President Trump, there's been record and historic over 30-year recruiting records inside our department since he won the election because the American people didn't want to sign up for what Joe Biden was providing our military.
Says who? Look, do you know why so many people sign up for the military? Because there is no job growth. Most of these jobs out here don't pay enough for you to support yourself. You got to work 2-3 jobs just to support yourself. So yeah, most people are signing up for the Army because that's all that's left. And who did Pete Hegseth's hair? That's the hair of a man who's allegedly committed war crimes. He walks into a barber and they're like, yep, the usual, yep, war crimes.
Washington Post reported exclusively that Hegseth ordered for their very first Caribbean boat strike, which Trump has been bragging about for months. His order was to kill them all. And after the first strike hit the boat, there were 2 survivors clinging to the sunken boat, and then they ordered another strike to kill them, and they were inevitably blown up in the water.
Why do you need to come back and ask for more money? Wouldn't it be better to spend money that you already have? And one of the things I noted was, or at least I think that this supplemental doesn't include funding to repair damage to our bases or to our military infrastructure in the region. And I have not heard that we've gotten the full extent of any of those damage estimates. So should we expect another request to address that military construction costs? And at what point do you stop asking Americans to foot the bill for a war they don't support on top of an inflated budget?
That's right, Pete. The check engine light is on in your car, but you'd rather go out and get drunk. And then when your car eventually breaks down, you think, oh, I should have got that oil change, but I just didn't have the money. But of course, this clown has a response for everything. I didn't say it was a good response, but it was a response.
One of the reasons I take issue with that characterization is something that Senator Durbin said when he talked about Ukraine and he talked about winning. And I appreciate as much as anybody winning a war. But I sit in front of a committee that wants to talk about winning a war that's been going on for 4 years and talks about strategic defeat of a conflict that's been going on for 4 months to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear bomb. I would hope for some perspective in this town of the historic nature of what President Trump is undertaking. Do you want radical Islamists to have a nuclear bomb that can stare down the world?
Because I have limited time.
And so do I. So what I'm hearing is that you're complaining that people are not mad that the Ukrainian war has been going on for 4 years, but your war that you started has been going on for 4 months, and people are mad about that. I thought the whole point was to not start wars to begin with. You do know that Russia started that war, not Ukraine. I'm sorry, I'm confused. Are we playing tit for tat here? Are you mad because you're not given 4 years for the war that you started that should have never started? Because Ukraine, that's defending their homeland, has been having a war with Russia for 4 years? Just face it, you started a war prematurely and now you're trying to figure it out. Easy.
The words you have used in the past don't add up. About Iran specifically, you said that we had obliterated, quote unquote, Iran's ability to create nuclear weapons. The president made the same claim. Yet 8 months later, in February of 2026, the president launched an active war claiming Iran was within 2 weeks of having a weapon. So when you say two very different things, the American people don't know who to believe or what to believe. They just know they can't afford their health care, they can't afford their food, they can't afford housing, and our farmers are continuing to suffer.
What it sounds like to me is Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump need to shut the fuck up until they get the right information instead of just putting shit out there and disregarding if it's correct or not. Y'all so worried about just getting in front of a story. But the most embarrassing part for you, because we chilling over here, is when we read back the asinine shit that you post online or say out loud, and then you look like a damn Olympian gymnast trying to defend this shit. You know, and maybe instead of giving out bullshit, go with this line. We don't know right now, but we'll let you know. Sound good? We're human beings. We're not supposed to know everything. We just wake up every day and we just do our best. But instead of you trying, you resort to lying. With that being said, I would like to thank you guys for self-incriminating yourselves on a regular basis because you've made the effort I've put into these videos so much easier. It's like writing a book report, but everything you need to know is in the first couple pages. This video is brought to you by the Trump administration and viewers like you.
The nuclear sites under Midnight Hammer were obliterated, but Iranians foolishly continued to attempt to pursue nuclear capabilities, which is why we destroyed their defense industrial base and so many of the other capabilities to ensure they can't get to a nuclear weapon. See, we're staying laser focused on the objective, and you're trying to make campaign commercials.
But isn't that what you guys are doing? Everything that's done in government is political, whether we like it or not. Your problem is that you suck at it. I feel like your political plan now is to not have a political plan. Your old political plan got you to presidency, but it can only get you so far. What I want to know is, who's your source? Who's your inside man? Because unless I see Iran saying, hey, we're conducting nuclear weapons over here, just so you know, I'm not believing anything. Where is the proof? Time for the main event. Jon Ossoff, the senator from Georgia, came in to ask good old Hegseth some questions and was the only one to really get underneath his skin.
On day 14 of this conflict, in the second week of the conflict, you stated that Iran's military had been, quote, destroyed and, quote, made combat ineffective. Was that an accurate statement? Yes or no?
Iran's ability to challenge the United States of America at the level at which we're capable of.
That's not what I asked you, Mr. Secretary. You said on day 14, Iran's military had been, quote, destroyed and, quote, made combat ineffective. Yes or no, was that an accurate statement?
Don't look at us, nigga. You said it. We didn't tell you to say that shit. That was your boy Trump. See what happens when you don't have a brain? Puppet.
Oh, I'm a failure because I haven't got a brain.
This is what happens when you speak in absolutes. You have to deliver. This is why I say go with, we don't know, but we'll let you know. Not completely destroyed. Job done.
3 weeks after you'd already said Iran's military was destroyed and combat ineffective, you said, quote, Operation Epic Fury was a historic and overwhelming victory. You said Iran's military had been rendered, quote, combat ineffective for years to come. And you stated we had, quote, achieved every single objective. Were those accurate statements?
It certainly was, on behalf of the men and women in uniform, a historic military victory over Iran.
Had Iran's military been rendered, quote, combat ineffective for years to come? That was a statement that you made 4 months ago.
They had 160 naval vessels
You need to
in the
answer
Blue
the
Water
questions,
Navy,
Mr.
and they're
Secretary.
gone.
Oh my God. Could you please bury yourself anymore with these posts? Just please stop talking. Here, let me ask you a question that you can answer. Do you know how to dance? No, you'll probably lie about that too. Please tell me that your dance moves do not involve your arms moving in this fashion, like you power walking or drinking. And you want to talk about soldiers? You mean soldiers who recently died in this war and you erased their names?
Donald Trump just erased the deaths of 4 U.S. service members this weekend in the war in Iran. The official count for the number of war dead just dropped from 18 to 14. Trump doesn't want to count the 4 that died this weekend. They don't count because the war was already over. We had a ceasefire, remember? Remember, Trump claimed we had this big deal with Iran, a ceasefire, the war's over. Therefore, the 4 that died this weekend, they didn't die in the war. He removed them from the Pentagon website.
Excuse me,
describe
Mr.
to me a country that doesn't have an Air Force, a Navy, or a defense industrial base, and I will describe to you a country that does not have an effective military.
Secretary, you stated,
it can lob missiles.
Mr. Secretary, you stated
missiles,
4 months ago that Iran's military had been rendered, quote, combat ineffective for years to come. Has Iran's military been, for the last 4 months, combat ineffective?
It's been set back not just years, but likely decades.
You stated we had,
quote, build at the level it did before, and not even close. It doesn't mean it doesn't have capabilities.
Mr. Secretary, you stated we had, quote, achieved every single objective. Was that an accurate statement 4 months ago?
The main objective of this was to ensure that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon.
Moving the goalpost, I see. What was your original plan? Winning the war? Can't say that, huh? You gotta move that goalpost. Nuclear weapons. That we can't prove yet. See, what Hegseth is doing is an old trick we like to call filibustering, where you just talk a whole bunch of nonsense until the clock runs out. Unfortunately for him, Ossoff's not gonna fall for that.
In the conflict, day 3, you said one of those core objectives was to, quote, destroy the missile threat. And as you restated on day 5, to, quote, obliterate Iran's missiles and drones. Those were clearly and repeatedly stated core objectives of the campaign, which 4 months ago you declared had been completed victoriously with every single objective achieved. Were those objectives achieved 4 months ago?
No one ever stated that every single missile was gone. Ultimately, combat ineffective means they're not able to dig them out of their UGFs and shoot at us.
Had the missile threat
It doesn't mean they
been
don't have
defeated
underground
4 months
facilities
ago?
where they put missiles in them and hold on to them because they're the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism. So,
bro, you're so cooked. Clearly you or Trump or both do not understand what the word obliterate means. But don't worry, I got you covered. Feel free to pause this video. You did not obliterate anything. Maybe you hit a facility or two really hard, but you didn't obliterate. Maybe instead of a Bible, you should walk around with a damn dictionary so you know what the hell you're talking about.
show some leadership and stand up to your fellow Democrats who won't fund the troops, who stand and play partisan politics while you don't give us the money. You want to stand up here and talk about the troops? You won't show any political courage to actually fund our department because you have Trump derangement syndrome and can't actually commit to anything meaningful. So I put this on you, Senator.
Secretary Hegseth, you have trillions, you have over $1 trillion, you're asking for $1.5 trillion. It's not a question of money, it's a question of leadership and understanding what it takes to actually win.
Political cowardice of Democrats who won't fund the troops.
Senator's time has expired.
You know what Trump and Pete Hegseth are trying to do? They're trying to complete one more job. You know in the movies where thieves or con artists
What's the difference?
are always talking about completing one more big score before they retire? That's what Trump's trying to do. He's trying to complete one more big score before November. You know the kind of people who run these kinds of plays? Insurance men. This is an insurance scam. Well, I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked to all the other insurance men.
Now, if shit don't happen, shouldn't I get my money back?